Well, listeners, welcome back to Central Coast Radio. I have got a guest on our show right now that I am very, very excited to be able to chat to. One of the most beautiful films I've seen this year is called Last Film Show. It is won awards, it has been nominated for awards, and now it has been shortlisted for the Oscars as well. So we thought we would actually get the director, writer of Last Film Show on the phone right now to chat a little bit more about this film. Welcome to the show, Pan Nalin.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
No worry. Now, Pan, this movie is absolutely amazing. I watch hundreds of movies every year for my job, and there are very few films that leave me sitting there breathless after I've watched them, but this film certainly did that, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so humbling and it's very inspirational to hear your words. You've been very generous. No, so I mean, anyway, when I hear things like that, wants to make me go on as a filmmaker to, keep taking on challenging subjects and, but thank you so much.
No worries. So tell us a little bit about Last Film Show. Tell us a little bit about the story that our listeners can expect to see when they head to the cinema to watch this film.
Well, Last Film Show is loosely inspired from my own childhood, and I used to have a friend who was a projectionist in a town nearby in a single screen cinema hall. It was 35 millimeter celluloid projection system. And I used to sort of skip school and swap my lunchbox to watch free movies from his projection booth. He will eat my tiffin, my lunchbox, and I would be in return watching from little window movies. Of course, all popular Bollywood Indian cinema. There was nothing else there in that remote countryside of northwest of India. But I was mesmerized, by cinema. So this is kind of a retelling of the story, between two characters, Samai, who is a 9-year-old kid in a remote Indian countryside, and a Fazal, who is a projectionist at a Galaxy Cinema, and how, sort of Samai falls in love with cinema, and he sort of fights heaven and earth to make his own kind of cinema system, if not making movie, but projection system, and the obsession with light and, obsession with storytelling takes over, and there's a kind of a bond forged between projectionist and Samai. Until the film is set in 2010-11, when there was a massive transformation was happening across India where almost all the screens were going digital. So, of course, that's what sort of arrives to change the destiny of these two characters. Yeah, for the rest, I think I will let people go and see the movie in Australia.
Definitely. What was that like for you telling a story that was so close to your heart? What was that like as a director and a writer being there and watching part of your life play out in front of you?
Honestly speaking, my childhood was something I tried to run away from it all my life. So I never thought I'll ever make a movie about my childhood. In fact, my first movie, Samsara, was set in the distant Himalaya, so far from where I come from. And I never ever thought that I would really be making movie about inspired from my life. Of course, my family still lives there, and I used to go back very often. And my friends and family will have all these anecdotes and stories to tell. No wonder you are a filmmaker. As a kid, you used to run away. You robbed some. You were stealing from railway station some film reel, and you got into trouble. I was put into remand home for a week. A lot of such stories were floating around. But in 2011, I realized when I went to see my projectionist friend, whom I had not met, the real one, in many, many years, and my father told me that, look, you should go and see him because he's going through a very rough patch of time. And when I met him, he was fired from his job because the digital projection system had come into cinema hall and he didn't know how to read or write. And we were, while sharing a tea, we ended up talking a lot about celluloid and what happens to the film prints and projectors, and that stayed with me, and then maybe I thought, not to make a sentimental nostalgia kind of a story, because as a filmmaker, I love to embrace different types of forms, whether it's digital or celluloid. But there was something beautiful about that era, which was not so long ago, just 10 years ago. Last movie projectors were running. And over the years, it became so elite that today, as I made all my movies on celluloid before, but today I cannot afford to do that unless, if my producer literally told me, who do you think you are, Christopher Nolan? No films, shoot digital. It became so elite, and it became so important that there are so many great directors whose movie and whose work inspired me. So I thought, okay, maybe there's something to do in this my local story. There was an universal kind of a story there, and love for, and I always wanted to do something which is a love letter to cinema in my own way, and I suddenly got super inspired, and wrote Last Film Show, and then one thing led to another, and that's what had happened. Yeah, but it was very strange, kind of a cathartic experience to because since I left my village, I've never lived there so long. In order to make the movie, I had to stay there 1.5 years, preparing and then casting and then shooting, and it was quite amazing. I forgot how the beauty of the innocence, and we almost shot everything as they are. There is not any set dressing. The region of Kathiawar in northwest of India is known for a lot of wildlife and lion, and the people, the way they live in the harmony with nature, semi-outdoor kitchens, and the small meter gauge train, it still runs there, left over by the British. So there was a kind of a timelessness which I had totally forgotten about my childhood. And in the end, I ended up shooting the movie in my school, as well as we refurbished the cinema hall where I had seen my first movie called Galaxy. So
Yep.
that was being used for storing sugarcane for like 25 years. So it was really an amazing experience. It was like just reliving the whole, the beauty of innocence of childhood.
Yeah.
And even my crew became like kids, with the kids. They were all like kids, and that's what I loved about making this movie.
Yeah. What was your friend, the projectionist's reaction when you told him that you were going to make this film?
I think he was really happy, because he was so poor. With a push cart, he was selling vegetable, and he didn't even know really how to sell vegetable. But he said that it's not only his story. There were I didn't know that there were about 200,000 projectionists in India lost their job, and no one came to help them. They didn't have any retirement plan. There was no security insurance, and the huge Indian film industry in 24 hours just forgot them. And he was so heartbroken. Because for simple reason, they did not speak English, they did not know how to run a computer, they wouldn't know how to download and upload DCP and KDM, because they were all doing a manual mechanical job of previous projectionists, so they could read 1, 2, 3 number to put the reel. And that staggering number, and he said, you are not only telling our story, but you are also telling story of this 200,000 homes which were affected by this digitalization. So he was very happy, and he was really happy, especially to see the last act of the film, which I will not reveal much, but when all the transformation is happening to the projector, because this is what he himself saw.
Yeah.
He saw what happened to the projector, how they just got recycled into metal scrap, and the film which got recycled into something else. And so yes, he was really moved to tears. Like even now, when I tell him, hey, we are now opening in Australia, and he was looking with his kid on a phone, the map, where is Australia, and it's so humbling for him to know that the film has been traveling across the world, from Japan to Mexico, Peru, and we opened 1 week ago in Italy. We are in second week there. It's expanding to some 150 screens now after the first 90 screen release. So he can't believe all this number,
Yeah. We see some of the films that Samay falls in love with in the film, are they some of the films that you fell in love with as well as a child?
Yes, some films and some stars. So the one of the first film Samay watches was a mythological drama about Indian goddess called Kali, Jai Mahakali. That is actually the first movie I saw. I must have been around 8 or 9, and I was really scared to see that movie because there were so many crash zoom. And if you might have seen the image of goddess Kali. She has her tongue out and skull necklace around her neck.
Yep.
Very scary kind of a goddess, ferocious. And there were so many crash zoom, and I had kind of a Lumiere brother type of experience. Train arriving at the station, I sort of ran, sort of went inside, ducked myself, at the first couple of crash zoom. That said, what is this magic? But very soon, more than the screen, I was mesmerized by the light, which was playing, the shaft of light above my head. And every time I went to see movie, they were of course popular Indian movies. So they were popular star like Amitabh Bachchan, so some of the movies which are there. But I never knew there was something called Hollywood or world cinema. Nothing. Those are the kind of the movies I saw, the popular Indian cinema.
Now, one of the stars of this film, of course, is the young actor who plays Samay, and he does an absolutely amazing job. How did you go about finding the kids that are in this film? Because I understand that you auditioned thousands of people for this film.
Yes, the audition was such a big challenge, which I never realized, the casting of this movie, because I thought, okay, it's a great role, and we have so many child actors these days in India. So naturally, we started the process in Mumbai, which is the center of film production. And all the auditions were really disappointing, and I almost abandoned making this movie because after literally 1,200 auditions, there was not one kid whom I could cast, not even nearly. I can't even compromise because unfortunately the modern Indian cinema and reality show, have made kids so different, so they were just not there. The body language was not there, everything. The skin tone, the expression in eyes. And then my casting director, Dilip Shankar, we have done very often non-actor casting for my previous movies, like Samsara and Valley of Flowers. And Dilip had found also a non-actor for Ang Lee, Life of Pi. So I said, why not we just go into the region where we want to shoot? And there are many villages where kids very rarely go to see movies. So that's when we hit the jackpot because we started meeting these kids, which were one after another. They were quite amazing. So besides Bhavin Rabari, who plays Samay, all the other kids also came from the same region. And one of the first thing I did with Bhavin was that I was just making extreme close-up on his eyes and to ask him to just do simple expression, cry, weep, feel excited, feel thrill, disappointed, longing, all range of emotion. And I only stayed on extreme close-up on his eyes. And I came back to our production base, my editor and we both cut together like a 40-second clip. We put a beamer projector and projected it on a big wall to see what does it do to us, And there was no word, there was no dialogue, there was no music. There was only eyes of Bhavin for 40 seconds going through range of emotions. And we had goosebumps, we were moved by just watching that. And at that moment, I knew we have found our lead.
Working with him on the film, do you feel that you also gave him an introduction now to cinema as well?
Yes, I think he, while he was working and all the other kids, they enjoyed so much the process of what we were doing, and they were not told the script in detail because they were not professional actors. So I didn't want them to get confused. So more or less every scene they were discovering and making their own story in their own head, so they would know that today we are going to do these 3 scenes and this is the aim, so it will be about the quest for light, then trying to find a way to catch the light, like it's in the movie, then how do you catch a light? And they literally were brainstorming among themselves. So in a way, they got heavily impacted by the process of filmmaking and the story, and ultimately, eventually, of course, when the film was complete, the kind of reception which film received, all of them were very surprised. They said, "Oh, we didn't know we were trying to tell this story," and said, "This is like kind of your story with that figured out." Because when we went to my school, they were asking me, "Are we making movie about your life?" I told them, "No, no, no, no. We are making about many such lives. Your life, my life. So don't get wrong ideas. Let's stay open, stay focused on your character." But yeah, especially Bhavin Rabari, he is, he's a natural, he's a natural talent. And me and my producer, we've been helping him to finish his education but also helping. And he has won so many awards in US, and he won the International Press Association's Breakthrough Performance Award. And just recently he won the National Award for the Best Child Actor, which is a big deal in India.
Yeah. That is absolutely amazing news. And Pan, I know we're running out of time very, very quickly. So to finish off the interview, I just want to leave it with you and ask, what would you like to say to our listeners out there who are about to go into cinemas this weekend and watch Last Film Show for the first time?
I want to say that, look, I will not disappoint you. Go with the full family. This film has... and now I can say confidently, as we have had so many screening across the globe, the film is theatrically released around the world and continues in many more countries. So this is what just people are saying, that we feel so good after watching the film. We are inspired, we want to go back to our childhood. We fall in love with cinema again. We discover the magic of being in a cinema theater again. So, a lot of these comments are already on social media, but, the response has been great. And I know personally that since Samsara, which was released in Australia, and Faith Connection and various distributors, there is a little niche audience who will look forward to, maybe who have seen my previous work. They will enjoy this very unique, kind of feel-good cinema, which is not only entertaining, but I hope it inspires a little bit as well.